The New York Jets have now lost their 10th game of the season. Never mind the fact that, you know what, let's not even go with that. Let's start with the most important thing. Why are the Jets so bad? Okay? Can it be their offensive line is one of the worst in the league? Could it be that they're injured? Could it be that Mekhi Becton is getting too many penalties? Could it be that Joe Tippmann's hurt? I mean, that Joe Tippmann is making a lot of penalties himself. A lot of deferred penalties, too, between him and McGovern. Can we say that it's incompetent QB play? Can we say it is because an offensive coordinator is bland and vanilla and doesn't like to get creative and allows quarterbacks to do the work? Can we say it's because the coaching staff has no backbone? Can we say it's because the coaching staff hasn't taught discipline to its players? What can we say as the excuse for the Jets? Can we say all of it? Yeah, absolutely. As a Jet fan and as an NFL fan, you should name every single one of those things as a reason for the Jets being this way. You have every right to be mad at this organization. Because this organization, once again, has failed you. They think that one player can plug the problem. One player can fix everything for you. And the truth is, that's not how football works. We're going to go out and we're going to get Aaron Rodgers. And that's going to solve the problems. We're going to go right back to the playoffs. We're going to go far. How about this? Bullshit! How about get a proper second string quarterback? Your project wasn't working the first 2 years. Maybe your coaching staff was the problem. Okay? Maybe that's reasonable. That's a reasonable excuse. This man was not supposed to play this year. I get it. I get that Aaron Rodgers was supposed to play. But guess what? Shit happens. You cannot make the excuse that your quarterback got hurt, the one that you wanted to play, 4 snaps into the season, and that everything should be on the fault of that quarterback being hurt. Because one, it's not fair to the quarterback. Let's get that out of the way. It's not fair to him. Not fair to Rodgers. He can't control the fact that he tore his Achilles. He can't control the fact that the offensive line couldn't block. He lost his footing on the turf and popped his Achilles. The turf that, by the way, you were supposed to pay and fix for. And you said you solved it. And what happened? More guys got hurt. So that's a whole argument in itself. If you knew in week 1, coming off that victory against Buffalo, that there was potential to save the season with the talent you had, wouldn't you think to open the offense up for the quarterback to work? Wouldn't you think to put him in the best situation to succeed by letting him do what he does best? He's a pure scrambler with a phenomenal arm. Listen, Jets fans can get mad all they want. They can say whatever BS they want it to me about Zach Wilson is this, Zach Wilson that. The truth is, coming into the league, he had one of the most talented arms I had seen. He was a pure arm talent. He had good mobility. The guy can run. The guy can scramble. But in this offense, I'm going to ask you a question. Do you feel like he's been opened up in the way that you were hoping the number 2 overall pick would be opened up? No. And whose fault is that? That's on the coach. That's on the coordinator. That's on the QB coach. It's on everybody. You're witnessing the incompetence of an organization on full display. The New York Jets will continue to fail as long as they make bonehead decisions like they did this past offseason. If you're going to bring in a guy like Aaron Rodgers and he tells you to bring in Tim frickin' Boyle, you don't bring in Tim Boyle. You look at his records, you look at his accolades, you kindly tell Aaron Rodgers, hey, we get you want to bring your boy here, but you need to understand something. He's not good. He can't play at the NFL level. And the fact he's been around this long is mind-blowing. So we're going to kindly decline to do that. This Jets offense was one of the worst in the league this year, if not already the worst. The fact they scored 20 points tonight is a miracle. 13 points scored by the offense. Take away everything the defense did. Let's focus on the actual turnovers and what the offense did off the turnovers. They didn't score off that fumble. They went 3 and out. They had another fumble that resulted in a field goal. 3 points on a field goal. And it was a 7-play, 3-minute drive where they had to go 9 yards. They went 9 yards in 7 plays. Respectfully speaking, this offense shouldn't have been this way. This is an offense that I want to... This offense is proving to me, once and for all, that the Jets have no idea what they're doing. They are throwing things at the wall and hoping they stick. They're taking a ball of putty and they're throwing it at a wall and saying, does this work? They're taking a bowl of pasta, throwing it at a wall and saying, is it sticking? Will this work? Realistically, you had options. If you felt that Wilson was the future of the franchise after Rodgers leave, that he was worth fixing, the guy gets redshirted. And if he had to get pulled out for emergency, you find a game plan to fit the guy's strength, which should have been the plan when you drafted him. And you haven't done that. And listen, you can say all you want about I never got to play at the high school level. But I've watched and studied this game and been around football players since, how long am I going to say, 8 years? Since I was a freshman in high school? Studying the game, been around the coaching staffs, been around everything. And I've studied this game more than my actual college career. When I was in college getting great grades, I focused on this game more than I did in school. And I'm telling you, I have seen everything. I have correctly seen the careers of so many quarterbacks and seen their potential. I had Mahomes picked out from day one. I had Dak Prescott picked out from day one. There's so many guys. Yes, do you miss on some? Yes, I missed on Paxton Lynch and I missed on Drew Lock. But I hit on Lamar. I hit on Jalen Hurts. There are so many quarterbacks. I was right about Dwayne Haskins. I was right about Zach Wilson when he was drafted. He's not a bad quarterback. He's just on a bad team. I hope he gets a fresh scenery. I feel like that team ruined it. If it wasn't for the fact that Aaron Rodgers was hurt, the coaching staff would not have a job right now. Let's call it what it is. The excuse that they have to wipe everything away and why Woody Johnson is going to let this slide, is because Aaron Rodgers got hurt. Aaron Rodgers gives everybody a free pass. So you could suck as bad as you want, but you're safe because guess what? Our starting quarterback got hurt. Our Hall of Fame quarterback got hurt, so we can do this. When realistically, if he had gotten hurt and he was not Aaron Rodgers, let's say it was Jared Goff leading the New York Jets, and he has the same type of situation happen, and you put out Zach Wilson, and the same thing happens, do you think that the Jets would have kept their coaching staff?
No.
Why? Because Jared Goff was not Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers is a first ballot Hall of Fame quarterback who was meant to turn around the future of the franchise, and they were trying to pull a Buccaneer. They were trying to do what Tampa did with Tom Brady, but doing this with Aaron Rodgers, just like they tried to do with Brett Favre the first time, before he got hurt. So now, let's throw this in. They're getting an exception from this. Rodgers is going to come back next year, and they're going to give him a fresh slate. How about this for an idea? How about you move on from Hackett, because clearly the offense looks identical to last season. Did anybody notice that? They switch coordinators, and it looks the same. It's like as if, Saleh has the playbook, and that Saleh's running the offense, really, and that Hackett's just going off whatever Saleh gives him? I don't know. With the Jets, they're such a unique case of stupid, it doesn't make sense. You can't predict what they do. Listen, he's got a man wide open right there, right? Wide open to the sideline, running a nice little out route to the sideline. Okay, cool. The Jets would be the team to say, don't throw that scramble when there's a blitz. That is what the Jets organization is. And then when it doesn't happen, and it doesn't go their way, they're like, Oh, well, the quarterback should have known better. Are you... This coaching staff is designed to help the players fail. You want to call it what it is? I'm going to call it what it is. Kudos to the defense. Defense plays their heart out every year. I don't know how this defense hasn't quit yet. Hasn't said, sign me. I mean, who hasn't said, trade me? Who didn't say, release me? Who didn't say, bench me? Who didn't say, waive me? I don't know how the Jets defense hasn't given up on the year. Because at this point, they gave up 37 points today, and they're going to get blamed for this. When it's, in actuality, all on the offense. I don't care what your yardage shows. You need to finish your drives, and you did absolutely nothing with Trevor Siemian. You've got one of the best receivers, young receivers in the NFL, in Garrett Wilson. The future of the New York Jets. He just accomplished a nice little accolade tonight that no Jets receiver has done since before I was born. I was born in 2000. The last time a Jets receiver had consecutive seasons with 1,000 yards receiving or more was 98-99, which was Keyshawn Johnson.
I got to go, Mike. I got to get it. And this ain't rehearsed.
I'm not doing that with you. I'm not doing this with you. Are you joking? Come on, wait for y'all to go. I swear it's not rehearsed.
Now, hold on.
How embarrassing is that? How embarrassing is that? Is that in 23 years, you could have a single receiver do that? And who did you have in your time? I like every Jets fan can answer this for me. Jericho Cotchery, Blacksco Burris for a bit, Eric Decker. You had, I mean, there's so many names you could go with. Quincy Enunwa, another one I just thought of. Brandon Marshall. All these different receivers they have had over these years. Nobody's able to do a back-to-back 1,000-yard season or more. That's disgusting. If you are a Jet fan, I pray for you. I don't know how you do it. You should be given a Medal of Honor for dealing with this team. A Medal of Honor. Again, I am ranting as not as a Jet fan, but as a fan of football and who loves the game. You need to do better. And the way you do better is you get rid of the problem. And the problem is clearly Saleh. I don't care what you say to me about this man. But being 6-10 and using the excuse of my quarterback is hurt is not okay. It's not okay. That's the mindset of a quitter. In his time frame as the coach of the New York Jets, he is 17-33. 17-33. I need to understand how in all this time, right? How does that even happen? I got to go and get I got to do this. The Jets numbers. I'm going to get the New York Jets as a whole. I'm going to get the franchise. I want to get the leaders in the coaching category, okay? Saleh right now has a win-loss percentage that I don't even know if it can be beaten. His win-loss percentage is worse than Todd Bowles. And I can't tell you how many Jets fans go to me and tell me Todd Bowles is one of, if not the worst coach we have ever had in the history of the Jets. And that's just off recent memory for them. You know, they don't know about Rich Kodite. They don't know about Lou Holtz. They know about Adam Gase. Adam Gase is clearly a terrible coach. But when he was coaching those 2 seasons, right? I'm going to show you everything. In 2019 and 2020 were the seasons he coached, right? That is when you had Sam Darnold, Le'Veon Bell, Jamison Crowder as your top players. The following season, Darnold, Frank Gore, Jamison Crowder. It can't get worse than that, right? 7-9 the first year. Great. Not bad. Offensively, their passing game, 29th in league in yards, 27th in touchdowns, 23rd in interceptions, yards per attempt, 29th. They couldn't let Darnold open up anything. They wouldn't even let him open up a can of soup unsupervised. The run game was terrible. 31st in the league in yards and 31st in touchdowns. Second worst in the league. That's horrific. Let's go to the next season when they went 2-14 with Gase, and then they fired in the season after. 31st in passing yards, 28th in touchdowns, 23 in interceptions, 23rd in rushing, 31 in touchdowns. In that alone. And defensively, they were in the can that year. They come in 2021 with Saleh, 4-13 in the first season. This is with Zach Wilson leading the way now. Okay? With Zach Wilson leading the way. 20th in passing yards, 25th in touchdowns, 29th in interceptions, 27th in rushing, 18 in rushing touchdowns. That's where they're at. Their defense, bottom of the categories in almost everything. Last year, 7-10. They looked like a fun team last year. I was excited for them. I didn't think LaFleur was actually the worst thing in the world because they were 15th in passing yards, 31st in passing touchdowns, which was the issues from day one, and 17th interceptions. They were smarter as a team last year. They were better overall as a team last year than they are this year. On the ground, still the same problems. Now let's go to this year. You switched offensive coordinators, right? You had Mike LaFleur for 2 years. You had a rough first year, a little bit better than whatever Gase had. Then you got even better the following year. You get rid of Mike LaFleur after showing improvement. And Hackett now, as the offensive coordinator, 31st in passing yards, despite the fact you're 10th in attempts. I don't get it. Lowest amount of passing touchdowns in the league. 24th in interceptions, 32nd in yards per attempt. Running on the ground, 28th and 32nd. They can't run the ball again outside of Breece Hall. So, explain this to me. How much different is the Jets without Mike LaFleur than they are with Nathaniel Hackett? I think we're getting to the point here. I think we're finding the common denominator in all of this. The offensive coordinators aren't the problem. It's the coach. It's the coach. Now keep in mind, Adam Gase is regarded as, to Jets fans, the worst one they've had in the recent decades that they've had a team. Since 2000, they feel that he was the worst coach. I want to stress that. Because Adam Gase was hated by so many fans. It cannot be stressed enough. And if you go to his coaching history, right? When he was in Miami, he was actually half decent in Miami. And this is a guy who was an offensive coordinator in Denver and Chicago. So here he comes right to the Jets. And the Jets are trash. And the Dolphins were also meh. So I'm trying to understand why you would go from a team that had offensive struggles, was an offensive coordinator, and go to a guy who's a defensive coordinator and doesn't know offense. That's where I'm lost. The answer is, you fire Saleh, you fire the entire coaching staff. If worse came to worse, you go out there and you get an offensive coordinator to become your head coach. Specifically, Ben Johnson. Ben Johnson from Detroit should be the next coach of the New York Jets. That is their target. But here's the problem. Woody Johnson has his head up there. I can't fix what he has up here. Nobody's going to convince him. No money in the world could fix that. Because he shelled out so much money to make sure he got Rodgers. To promise him that they're going to bring a championship. He has to live by that. But if he really wants to win with Rodgers, he's got to bring in a guy who cares about the offense. That knows the offense and knows how to do offense. Ben Johnson knows offense. Robert Saleh doesn't know what offense is. He doesn't know what it's like to have a competent quarterback. Zach Wilson was a competent quarterback coming in. The problem is, who ruined him? Who ruined him? Saleh. And I'm going to tell you, I'm not saying I am a huge fan of Wilson. I'm saying that his potential and ceiling is still high. And it was high when it came in. But now it's lower because Mr. Saleh ruined it and lowered the ceiling. Just like the Gase ruined and lowered the ceiling of Sam Darnold, who is now the backup to Brock Purdy in San Francisco. And he was at one point starting in Carolina not too long ago. So yeah, I think it's safe to say I've had enough. The answer is you fire Saleh and you fire Hackett. I like your defensive coordinator. I'd bring him back if Ben Johnson wants him. Johnson needs to coach the Jets and coach Rodgers. But guess what? It won't happen because Woody Johnson does not care. He knows that Rodgers didn't play this year, and he's giving them all a pass by saying, you can do whatever you want this year. It doesn't matter. Rodgers is coming back. Just don't look bad. They look terrible, but hey, they got 6 wins. And that's my rant. You let Joe Flacco, at almost 39 years old, 39 in 3 weeks, throw for 350-plus yards on you. How shameful is that? How shameful is it that you let this man do that? I've never in my life seen that happen. With a defense that's so good, and your offense couldn't do anything. That's shameful. And with that, I hope you get crushed by New England next week.